The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council had never witnessed such unanimous agreement. Representatives from 12,000 civilizations, crystalline beings from the Andromeda Spiral, gaseous entities from the Magellanic Clouds, and machine consciousnesses from the Outer Rim all nodded in solemn consensus as High Chancellor Mordain delivered the verdict. The species designation human from planet Earth, Sol System, has been deemed a Class 7 galactic threat, the Chancellor announced, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. Their expansion into space must be contained. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council, sat in the designated human section, a deliberately isolated booth that resembled a quarantine chamber more than a diplomatic seat. For 3 standard galactic years, she had watched the Council's growing unease as humanity spread across their local star cluster with unprecedented speed. Ambassador Vasquez, Chancellor Mordain's multiple eyes, focused on her with cold calculation. Your species has violated the expansion protocols. You've established colonies in 47 systems without proper council approval. More concerning, your military vessels have been spotted in restricted territories. Elena stood slowly, her simple human form dwarfed by the alien dignitaries surrounding her. Honorable Chancellor, humanity has followed all protocols as they were explained to us. We submitted colonization requests through proper channels. Requests that were deliberately delayed, interrupted Senator Kretak, a mantis-like being whose species had dominated 3 galaxies. The Council determines expansion rates based on a civilization's maturity level. Humans have demonstrated concerning aggressive tendencies. Elena's jaw tightened. She had suspected this for months, the endless bureaucratic delays, the impossible requirements, the constantly changing regulations that seemed designed specifically to frustrate human expansion. What specific aggressive tendencies concern the Council? The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien languages, translated in real time by neural interfaces. Elena heard fragments. They militarize everything. No proper submission protocols, refuse to accept client species status. Chancellor Mordain raised a manipulator appendage for silence. The decision has been made. Earth will be quarantined. No human vessels will be permitted beyond the Sol System. Any violations will result in immediate defensive action. Elena felt her diplomatic training warring with a deeper, more primal response. Defensive action? The Council has authorized the deployment of the pacification fleet, Senator Kretak announced with satisfaction. 2,000 ships from 12 species, more than sufficient to ensure human compliance. The ambassador looked around the chamber, studying the faces of beings she had worked with for years. The Etherian trade delegates, who had profited enormously from human innovation. The Centauri military advisors, who had praised human tactical thinking. The academic representatives, who had called human literature and art refreshingly primitive but emotionally authentic. I see, Elena said quietly. And when does this quarantine begin? Immediately, the Chancellor replied. Your ship will be the last human vessel permitted to leave Sol System. You have 72 standard hours to deliver our ultimatum to your government. Elena nodded slowly, then activated her personal communicator. Ambassador to Earth Control. Priority Alpha Transmission. Ambassador, Chancellor Mordain's tone carried a warning. This communication will be monitored. Of course it will, Elena replied, her voice carrying a new edge that made several nearby representatives shift uncomfortably. Earth Control, please transmit the following message to all human colonies, research stations, and military installations. The Galactic Council has declared humanity a quarantined species. All human vessels are ordered to remain within the Sol System or face destruction by a combined alien fleet of 2,000 ships. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in throughout the chamber. Please also transmit this message to Admiral Chen at Deep Space Command. Protocol 7 is now in effect. Repeat, Protocol 7 is authorized. Elena turned off her communicator and smiled at the assembled council. It was not a pleasant expression. Ambassador, Senator Kretak demanded, "What is Protocol 7? "Oh, that's just a minor administrative designation," Elena replied cheerfully. "Nothing the council need concern itself with." 7.
Sensors indicate minimal human military presence, his tactical officer reported. A few patrol vessels, some orbital defense platforms around their homeworld. Nothing that could threaten a fleet of this magnitude. Excellent. Begin the containment formation. Any human vessels that attempt to leave the system are to be disabled and boarded. But as the fleet moved deeper into the Sol system, Admiral Zekthor began to notice disturbing anomalies. Space traffic wasn't flowing inward toward Earth as expected during a quarantine. Instead, human ships seemed to be moving with unusual purpose toward the outer planets. "Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the Jupiter region," the sensor operator announced. "The readings are unprecedented." The main display shifted to show Jupiter's 4 largest moons. What the fleet saw defied every assumption about human technological capability. Each moon had been converted into a massive weapons platform. Io bristled with antimatter production facilities. Europa's ice had been carved into a geometric pattern that focused solar energy into devastating coherent beams. Ganymede housed railgun batteries that could accelerate projectiles to significant fractions of light speed. Callisto appeared to be one enormous sensor array, tracking every ship in the pacification fleet with unnerving precision. "This is impossible," Admiral Zekthor whispered. Intelligence reports indicated humans were barely beyond nuclear fusion technology. That's when the human fleet appeared. They didn't drop out of hyperspace or decloak from behind asteroids. They simply materialized, as if space itself had been folded to bring them instantly into position. Hundreds of sleek, predatory vessels surrounded the pacification fleet in a perfect three-dimensional sphere. "Admiral," his communications officer's voice cracked with terror, "we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." The face that appeared on screen belonged to Admiral Sarah Chun, but she looked nothing like the primitive savage the Council's xenobiologists had described. Her uniform was clearly advanced. Her background showed holographic displays that processed data at impossible speeds, and her eyes held the confidence of someone who held all the advantages. "Admiral Zekthor of the Pacification Fleet," Chun began calmly, "I'm Admiral Chun of the Human Defense Force. You have violated our territorial space with hostile intent."
"Your territorial space," Zekthor sputtered. "The Galactic Council has authorized this quarantine. You are the ones in violation of galactic law." Chen's smile was sharp as a blade. Yes, the Galactic Council. We've been monitoring their communications for the past 3 years. Did you know they've been systematically suppressing promising species for millennia? It's quite the racket they've been running." That's impossible. "How could you monitor quantum entanglement communication networks?" Chen interrupted. "We've been listening to every council session, every private consultation, every secret meeting where they decided which species gets to advance and which gets locked in technological stagnation." Admiral Zekthor felt his combat instincts screaming warnings as he studied the human formations. "You're surrounded by the combined might of 12 civilizations. Surrender now and—" "Admiral," Chen's voice cut through his bluster like ice, "you're not surrounding us. We're surrounding you. Your fleet entered our system exactly where we wanted you to. Every ship, every weapon, every escape route has been accounted for." The tactical displays suddenly showed the horrifying truth. The human ships weren't just randomly positioned, they formed a perfect containment grid. More terrifying still, energy readings indicated that the humans had somehow weaponized the gravitational fields of the outer planets themselves. "The Galactic Council made one critical error," Chen continued. "They assumed that because we hadn't revealed our true capabilities, we didn't possess them. Humans learned long ago that the best way to win a fight is to make sure your enemy underestimates you until it's too late. Admiral Ziegthor watched his fleet's tactical systems being systematically compromised by human cyber warfare programs that operated on principles his technicians couldn't even comprehend. "What do you want?" he finally asked. "We want to deliver a message to the Galactic Council," Chen replied. "Earth formally withdraws from Council jurisdiction. Any future attempts to interfere with human expansion will be met with appropriate responses." "And Admiral?" "Yes. When you return to Council space, make sure they understand something very clearly. Humans don't just fight wars, we end them." The pacification fleet limped back to Council space with only 60% of their original ships. The rest had been systematically disabled, and their crews transported to comfortable detention facilities that demonstrated technology levels the galaxy had never seen before. In the Grand Assembly Hall, absolute silence reigned as Admiral Ziegthor delivered his report. Chancellor Mordaine's multiple eyes blinked in patterns that indicated severe distress. They've been watching us for 3 years." Senator Kretak's voice was barely a whisper. Every communication, every decision, every secret meeting, the Admiral confirmed. They knew about the quarantine before we announced it. They prepared accordingly. "How is their technology so advanced?" "Our intelligence indicated." "Our intelligence was wrong," Admiral Ziegthor interrupted. "Deliberately wrong. The humans have been concealing their true capabilities since first contact. They let us believe what we wanted to believe." Chancellor Mordaine stared at the empty human ambassador booth.